All right, we're all here. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Peterson,
Here.
Councilor Geisler, Councilor Jelly,
Here.
Councilor LeBlanc,
Here.
Mayor Boucher.
Here. Do any counselors have announcements to be made to the public this evening? Okay, we have no public hearings. Communications are on file. Mr. Mulder, could you give us a short synopsis of the pre-agenda presentations?
Yeah, so we did a presentation on just the capital improvement request that departments have made in the 2026 budget. We wanted you to be aware of all of the requests that were made. We will have to do some work to make those fit into the budget. Then we followed up with a payroll budget to give you a sense of the increase that we're looking in terms of payroll costs. Payroll makes up a large percentage of our budget. And those were reflecting wage increases that we've had with our unions, and it did not include any new positions. David Wolf gave an update on the 2025 Trails project. We talked a little bit about parking lots, retaining walls, and crossings, and just all the things that we have in the plans. We are going to go back and look at that a little bit closer to see if we can reduce the amount of retaining walls that is necessary. And then we will come back and ask for you to approve those, that bid package and go out for advertising for bids. Sorry, my microphone. And then lastly, David Wolf did a presentation on our ADA inventory. We looked at sidewalks, curb stops, or curb ramps for pedestrian access at intersections. We looked at parking ramps and our parking stalls, all of the things that for ADA in our public infrastructure, roads and streets and sidewalks. We also looked a little bit at the external of our buildings, making sure that curb ramps and parking stalls were adequate and compliant. As a general rule, we were more compliant than not, but there was a number of areas where we could improve that have some infrastructure that's outdated, and at some point in time we'll need to improve, but we'll create a plan of action going forward as that. But that first step was just that inventory.
Thank you. Next, we have public discussion. This is the time that individuals can address the council about any item not on the agenda. The time limit is 3 minutes per person. We will have a period of time during the items on the agenda for public discussion also. If anybody wishes to speak to the council, please step forward to the podium and start with your name and address. Is there anyone that wishes to address the council under general public discussion? Last opportunity for general public discussion. If you wish to speak to the council, please step to the podium and give your name and address. With no public discussion, we'll move to motions. First item is the consent agenda. Minutes, approval or correction of the June 16th, 2025 City Council continuation minutes, and accounts payable approved general city warrants from June 16th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025 in the amount of $1,780,752.49. Do we have a motion relating to the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilor LeBlanc to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Geisler. Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilor Peterson,
Aye.
Councilor Geisler, Councilor Jelly,
Aye.
Councilor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolutions. Resolution 2025-104, resolution accepting large specific project scoping document and authorizing the preparation of the draft alternative urban area-wide review AUAR document for the Section 31 Hermantown Industrial Project. Is there a motion in relation to this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder?
You had previously approved this with Resolution 2025-98, but a third comment came in from the DNR that had not been included in that original one. So we wanted to have you reapprove this so that all three comments that had been made about the scoping document could be included in the preparation of the AUAR.
Thank you. And that was a comment that was somehow diverted in email.
Yeah, it had gotten caught up in some spam, but it was from the DNR.
But it was made in time.
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, is there any public comment on this resolution? Any public comment on resolution 2025-104? Any public comment on the resolution accepting the large specific project scoping document and authorizing the preparation of the draft alternative urban area-wide review document? Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2025-105. Resolution approving insurance coverage and city does not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability for the city of Hermantown. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder?
So we do this on an annual basis. We renew our insurance, and we also ask the city council to pass a resolution saying that we're not waiving, rephrase that, we're not waiving the monetary limits on our liability. So this is the renewal from the League of Minnesota Cities for next year.
Thank you. Any comments from council? For those that aren't aware, this is an annual thing as far as the tort liability. There are limits on that, but we have to reauthorize that every year per state law. Otherwise, it becomes unlimited, which could cost us some money, theoretically.
It's best practices, yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments from council? Is there any public comment on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-105? Any public input on the resolution approving insurance coverage and not waiving the monetary limits on municipal tort liability? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-106. Resolution accepting Eller's proposal to redo financial management plan in an amount not to exceed $39,000. Is there a motion relating to this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor LeBlanc. Mr. Mulder?
Back in 2008, we hired Ellers to do the first financial management plan. And the financial management plan takes a look at all of our various revenues, our expenses and how they're trending, what our needs are relative to capital improvements and staffing levels, and debt for infrastructure, things like that. They look at all of those things and help us put together a financial management plan that not just looks at the next 12 to 18 months, but helps us to try to look out, how can we start planning for the 2028 budget, the 2029 budget? So they look at all of those pieces to help us kind of develop a plan so that we're being a little bit more proactive as we look at our budgets.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Is there any public input on resolution 2025-106? Would anyone like to comment on the resolution accepting a proposal from Ellers to redo the financial management plan? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-107, resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the United States Capitol Police and City of Hermantown. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Counselor Geisler made it under the wire of all three of you. Mr. Mulder.
So this is a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. Capitol Police. They will reimburse us for providing security to our federal congressman. And so we signed this immediately following the shooting of the elected officials down in the Twin Cities. And so this just allows us to be reimbursed for our expenses.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this resolution? Does anyone wish to comment on resolution 2025-107? Is there any public comment on the resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the United States Capitol Police and the City of Hermantown? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-108, resolution approving pay request number 13 for the North Star Ford Arena to Kraus Anderson Construction Company in the amount of $1,666,000. Let's see, $666,686.26. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Second by Counselor LeBlanc. Mr. Mulder?
This is for the work done at the arena through the month of June.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council on this resolution? Is there any public comment on this resolution? Is there any public input on the resolution approving pay request number 13 for the North Star Ford Arena to Kraus Anderson Construction Company? Do we have any public input on resolution 2025-108? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-109, resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver an assessment agreement between the city of Hermantown and Timothy H. Carlson and Cynthia J. Carlson. Is there a motion relating to this?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder.
In 2014, the city constructed a sewer line along Haynes Road from Morris Thomas south to Mary Lane. At that point in time, we didn't create an assessment for those properties, but an availability. So when they connected, they would have to pay the cost of that construction project. But we allow them to finance that through, typically we've done it in the past with a city contract. But we don't do city contracts anymore, so we do an assessment agreement. So this just allows them to finance that availability charge through their taxes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Do you have any public input on resolution 2025-109? any public input on authorizing a assessment agreement between the city of Hermantown and Timothy H. Carlson and Cynthia J. Carlson? Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Next is Resolution 2025-110, resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver a settlement agreement between the city of Hermantown and William A. Marsolik, also known as William Marsolik, and Stacy R. Marsolik, also known as Stacy Marsolik, collectively Marsolik. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder?
So this is the final easement that we needed for the construction of the trail south of King Creek Park. This easement is on the existing trunk line easement, but this will allow us to put that trail on top of that as well. And this is the last one that is that we needed.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Does anyone from the public wish to comment on this resolution? Is there any public comment on resolution 2025-110? Do we have any public comment on a resolution to execute and deliver a settlement agreement between the city of Hermantown and the Marsoliks? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Next, we have resolution 2025-111. Resolution approving final plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for the 2025 construction Hermantown Trails, Section 4 and part of 3. We've been asked by staff to table this for 2 weeks. Do we have a motion relating to this from council?
Move to table.
Motion by Councilor LeBlanc to table. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Resolution 2025-112. Resolution approving final plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for the improvement district number 323 water system connection and booster station project. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Jelly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Geisler. Mr. Mulder?
So a number of years ago, we looked at different water plans for the city, and it was recommended that we create a second connection with the city of Duluth. We currently have just one, which is on Haynes Road, north of Arrowhead. This would create a second connection at the intersection of Haynes and Anderson. This would then go out for bid. This would be advertised, and then bids will come back to you in about a month or so.
Thank you. And we also already have the pipe in the ground to facilitate the crossing. This is for the booster station.
That's correct.
Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Do we have any public input on resolution 2025-112? Any public input on the resolution approving improvement district number 323 water system connection and booster station? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Next, we have resolution 2025-113, resolution approving final planned unit development with KTJ 360 LLC for the Hermantown Cottages development. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder?
We're going to have Joe Wickland pinch hit for Eric Johnson, who's on vacation. Eric is listening via Zoom if there's any questions that, of Eric.
Or if I missed the mark at all. Mayor and councilors, the plan unit development proposed across the street, the 10-acre site located in the northeastern quadrant of Levake and Maple Grove intersections. A reminder that PUDs are permitted in all the zoning districts of the city. Preliminary plan unit development was approved by this council in April of 2025. The property is owned by Oppidan. We have a few different folks related to that group that are available in-house as well as online to answer questions if need be. There are no wetlands on this property, which is pretty unique in Hermantown. The applicant is proposing 10 townhomes, 20 units total, 2-bedroom units with approximately 1,400 square foot of living space, as well as 400 square feet of garage or exterior patios. Access from the, will be from the existing internal driveways from the pillars right next door. Private 24-foot wide driveways serving each of the proposed units, each of the 10 units. Each of the 20 units. The parking meets the city requirements of 2 parking spaces per unit, and any existing stormwater ponds will be enlarged on site to handle the additional stormwater by this proposal. The sanitary and water services will be public mains with a 30-foot easement dedicated to the city. The applicant is responsible for building these utility services. The proposed buildings will have access to the existing amenities associated with the pillars. So the pickleball court, the theater, the wellness center, sauna, sunroom, pub, all those pieces that exist for residents of the pillars will also exist for folks in these particular units, which will also tell you who these units are geared for. The applicant, we worked with city staff on providing a $50,000 escrow for the purpose of constructing a trail connecting Maple Grove Road to the city's future trail system to the north. The public benefit piece on this was at least a little bit tricky because there was some discussion initially about public access to the pickleball court, which was a no-go for the applicant's insurance company for a lot of reasons that probably make perfect sense. So the pivot was to how can we enhance the trail system that'll be adjacent to this. We didn't want to be in a situation where we were building something that we would end up unbuilding depending on future developments or that didn't meet the needs as future trails find their way there. So the agreement was to escrow the amount for that build so that we can nail it when it comes time to making the trail through there. Now, the applicant is proposing to keep as much of the existing tree cover as possible along Levake and Maple Grove roads, as well as planting additional landscaping and screening, which is important in the area. The buildings themselves, approximately 25 feet in height, with building materials similar to the pillars buildings. You can kind of get an idea of what you'll see there. There's a proposed internal sidewalk system connecting Maple Grove to the pillars building. Per the 2020 analysis by traffic engineers, there are approximately about 14 a.m. and 19 p.m. trips that would be associated with single-family homes as part of this proposal. So it's estimated there'd be approximately 180 new daily trips associated with these 20 townhome units. When we work this process through the planning and zoning piece, the public hearing comments did express appropriate concern about traffic on Maple Grove and Levake and the future of that intersection. Conversations continue with St. Louis County about the future of the intersection at Levake and Maple Grove, with the idea that probably in the not too distant future, it would represent a change, whether that's a roundabout or lighted, will be determined at that point. But this alone is not enough to trigger that immediate need for that. Whether it's a roundabout or lighted, both of those would still be options should this proposal move forward.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council?
I just have a quick question. Mr. Wickland and I spoke with the developer the other day about the trail, and I questioned if the 50,000 was enough for adequate to construct that. And you were going to ask Mr. Balfin, do you concur that that's adequate?
Yeah, so, John, Eric Johnson asked me last week to review this before he went on vacation.
Okay.
So he sent me the numbers and the calculations, and I agreed that that was an appropriate amount.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Is there any public comment on this resolution? If anyone wishes to comment, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Matt Budarak and I live at 4089 Levake Road. And I've got some concerns about the current design of this. The setback from the public highways is 20 feet. And you're gonna have a residence sitting 20 feet from Maple Grove Road with the traffic on that road. Levake isn't as bad, but it's still fairly heavy traffic. Our house, I live on the first house on Levake Road south of Maple Grove. My house is 150 feet back, and there are times when traffic noise is terrible. I don't know what it would sound like if you're 20 feet from the right of way. That just seems like it's way too close to the public road. The normal setback in R3 anyhow is supposed to be 50 feet. I don't know how you change that. I understand with the PUD that they can do whatever you will allow them to do. But it just seems like that's a step too far. The screening, when we did the original pillar stuff, we had a lot of discussion about where the main building was gonna go and where the screening was and how much screening was gonna be left and all that. And the way it is right now is where it was decided that they were gonna say, okay, this is gonna screen the pillars from the highway. This is gonna be that. And now the screening is gonna go. And you're gonna have, in most cases, single row of trees in front of these condos or these multifamily home residences, whatever. So that's not much of a screening. Your screening for the pillars now becomes pillars, buildings. So I think that's an issue that causes some concern for some of us. It just seems like we're too close to the road, and the screening that we thought we had agreed on when they did the original pillars is now going to go away and become housing. So those are my concerns.
Thank you.
And I live at 4089. I just want to re-echo what my husband was saying about the 2020 agreement, of keeping that firm. So that was one of the reasons why the pillars was passed, I believe. Also, I don't consider living that close to the roads quality living. I'm a nurse and I'm also an advocate for these for other people. And I think it's a shame if you're gonna charge people thousands and thousands of dollars to live roadside living. It's not a trailer park, and that's wrong. You shouldn't have said that. But I'm just trying to really express, this just seems wrong to me. We can't even live in our own front yard the way we were accustomed to years ago because of all the traffic. How are you gonna subject these older people that probably already have a lot of medical issues? And please, I hope somebody doesn't put a deck facing one of these major roadways. Because the fumes from all the diesel that goes through, the loud mufflers that go through, and I mean, it's not a pleasant way to live. And why would you subject more people to this and support this? So those are my concerns, and I really thank you for listening to us. So have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council about this resolution? Does anyone wish to address the council about resolution 2025-114? Please start with your name and address.
Eric Martin, 400 Water Street, Excelsior, Minnesota. Mayor and councilors, it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. I'll keep comments short, but on behalf of Oppidan and KGDA 316 and our partners, We believe this project will continue to serve and fill a need in the community of Hermantown, as the Pillars community so far has done for several years. We consider it a privilege to be a part of serving this community and most specifically our residents, and look forward to continuing to do so with this addition. But just most importantly, I wanted to be available to answer any questions that you may have about this project. I also have our civil partner, Jordan from LHB, online to assist with any questions as needed. And appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to comment on this resolution? A roll call.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
No. Next is resolution 2025-115. Resolution approving a special use permit to construct a contractor's shop and storage yard in the C1 Office Light Industrial Zoning District. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Did we skip one?
Oh,
You skipped 114?
oh,
Yes.
I guess I did. I wrote my notes by the wrong one. 2025-114, resolution approving special use permit for construction of an accessory structure in excess of 12,000 square feet in an R3 zoning district at 4890 Adrian Lane and imposing conditions thereon. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Counselor Jelly, second by Counselor Geisler. Everyone's fighting over it. Mr. Mulder?
Again, we're going to let Joe Wickland pinch hit for Eric Johnson.
So this particular special use permit is for an accessory structure greater than 1,200 square feet. This one is 1,728 square feet, so slightly larger garage. What makes this at least a little bit unique is there's two lots on this particular case. So as part of this, the lots have to be combined because as a city, we do not have accessory structures on a separate lot. Zoning district allows coverage of up to 35%. Lot coverage with buildings. This proposal will only bring that lot to 5.7. It meets all the required setbacks. The proposed building's not going to have any activity business-wise as part of it, and the proposed building's going to match the structure on the existing property. So a larger than usual garage.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-114? Any public input on the resolution to approve an accessory structure in excess of 12,000 square feet at 4890 Adrian Lane? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-115. Resolution approving a special use permit to construct a contractor's shop and storage yard in the C1 Office Light Industrial Zoning District. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Geisler.
Going to continue to let
Mr.
Joe,
Wickland?
yes.
Pinch hitting tonight.
Mayor and council, thank you. This is a special use permit for 5440 Miller Trunk Highway. The applicant is here potentially if there are questions. Proposal has a variety of parts, of 33,000 square foot outdoor storage, a little bit over 32,000 square foot multi-tenant office that would serve contractors. City ordinance requires the special use permit for outdoor storage of a contractor's shop in this particular case. This is a 19-acre site in total. The access from Miller Trunk Highway would be by a driveway shared with Sunbelt Rental. There's 4.5 acres associated with this project over in C1 office light industrial. In total, there'll be 76 space parking lot as part of this project, a loading dock on the south side of the building with drive-through doors on the north and south side, city water and sewer, proposed stormwater in the western portion of the property to serve it as well. The wetlands were delineated in May of 2025. The building location meets or exceeds any of the necessary setbacks. As for building lot coverage, it's approximately 16.6% of the site and is placed where 35% coverage is allowed. Building is approximately 35 feet in height, metal construction. Trash is in the interior of the building and dealt with in each individual bay. Outdoor storage yard is at the rear of the property. That's really why we're here today requiring the special use permit. The CIDP and variants that are a part of this project were approved unanimously by planning and zoning, but special use permits come to the council. So that's why this particular part of the motion is back before us.
Thank you. Any questions from council or comments? Hearing none, is there any public input on this resolution? Do we have any public input on resolution 2025-115? Any public input on the special use permit for a contractor shop and storage yard? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher,
Aye. Resolution 2025-116, resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver a development agreement with Sumas Construction Incorporated for the Reside Apartments. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder, are we going back to Mr. Wickland or?
Either one of us.
Pardon?
Either one of us can handle that.
Oh, yeah, I can handle this and
Okay.
Joe can weigh in when I get it wrong. Previously, you approved the apartment building to be constructed by Sumas. This is the development agreement that will lay out the responsibilities relative to the public infrastructure that they will build and then turn over to the city.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
I have a question. Privately owned apartment building.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Why would the city, and I'm looking at the map right now, I don't really see an opportunity for further development in that area. Why would the city want to own the sewer and the water line going to that apartment?
Access and maintenance.
To a private building? That would be like us owning sewer and water lines going to residential homes.
Which we do.
We do. And we
So
own
from
other
the,
ones.
from
for
the street
private
to the
buildings.
house, we're responsible for those?
Well, like,
Some private buildings we are, yes.
I'd like to see that.
the,
I just don't understand us taking on the responsibility of maintaining those lines to a privately owned building.
I think it's more looked at as the ability to maintain them versus the responsibility. If we didn't have the right of way, we couldn't access them in case of a problem where things needed to be fixed or shut off.
Any issues with the line though would only affect the person owning the building and their tenants. So why would the city take on that burden when it's on the owner of the property? Sorry, I'm pointing out here, sorry.
Maybe we can ask our attorney to weigh in on that.
I mean, I just, you know, if something were to happen to the service line to my home, the city's not gonna come in and fix that. That's gonna be my responsibility to fix that. So I don't see why the city would treat an apartment building any differently. If there was future development beyond the apartment building, you know, if there was property behind it that could be developed and the city wanted to control the access to that line for future development, I understand it. But for this, the only purpose is to service this building. I don't see why the taxpayers should have to pay for that service when it's only at the benefit of the person that owns the building.
Mr. Johnson, do you have any insight into this?
Mayor, Councilor LeBlanc, I can't say I have reviewed this particular development agreement on that question, but I think it probably would be best if I'll take a look at it tomorrow and I'll send you an email kind of laying out the considerations that go into the way that the city has done it, and with this particular development agreement. I think that's probably the best way otherwise I'm just
Yeah, and
guessing.
I don't know what else is in there either. The only thing that we've talked about tonight is the city taking over ownership of the city, the water and the sewer servicing the building. So if there's other things in there, you know,
There is in the development agreement.
Yeah.
There is, yes.
are we plowing the street to and from the building?
That is not part of it.
No. So the city's not maintaining the road or any sidewalk in or out of the property?
No.
So it's a
But-
completely private
Yeah.
situation, but the city's gonna be responsible for any issues with the sewer and the water. It doesn't make sense to me, so.
David, do you want to answer the?
No, so, Mayor and Council, part of why we, staff, Public Works and myself geared this one up and other developments similar to this, having public utilities so we have control over what happens to that main. Some examples, sins of the past that we've learned from are these long services get extended into a parcel, and unbeknownst to us, they get teed off and serve other buildings, or parcels get subdivided and they want extensions. On the front end of this, when we talked with the applicant, there was talk about possibly purchasing some more property and an extension of either the road utilities or a second phase. I'm not sure if that's still on the table. And this parcel is large enough that, you know, it may be able to get developed further. So for those reasons, myself and Public Works felt that this should be a public main for the, the water and the sewer. And this is similar to what we've done in the past, whether it was, Patriot Lane or the big box stores, Menards, Sam's Club, Fleet Farm, Walmart. We have easements that have utilities all the way around it for that reason.
This is a PUD, right?
I don't know.
Regardless, any additional
can you
development
answer
would
that?
have to be approved by the city.
Yes.
So if they were gonna add on to this or tap into this sewer line again, it would have to get approved by the city at that time regardless.
Yes.
I mean, if we own the line servicing Fleet Farm and Sam's Club and Walmart, it sounds like Fleet Club, Sam's Club and Walmart are taking advantage of the city, in my mind. Anything that happens to service those buildings would be lost profit for them, and they would need to fix that issue or resolve it to have further business. So I don't know. I just see this entire situation as the city being taken advantage of.
The other one that I see as similar is Patriot Lane. I think it's called Patriot, the Zierden Twin Home Development, corner of Morris Thomas and Payne. That's several townhomes, private road, they plow it. And I guess I'm just going kind of based on past history. The King Creek Townhomes is probably the same way too, private road, but utilities are, so again, we do have other situations like it.
And you look at like some of the developments, like what the Gilberts are doing. Those are homes that are sold that like the Gilberts don't own any of that when it's all said and done. That makes sense for me. They're public roads. They're homes that are openly being traded on the market per se. In these situations where the developer is renting these out or continuing to own them, in my mind, that should be completely on the developer then to maintain those lines. If something were to change and they start selling these properties, well, then that agreement would have to change at that time, right? So then the city could take.
I also
ownership of
believe
that.
there's fire hydrants in there, right? And then the city needs to get in and exercise the valves on the fire hydrants and things like that. So I think that's the other reason for the
So
That
just,
sounds like a use agreement to me then.
so just another reminder, council, that we have a recent real example of how infrastructure that's private is not working in the mobile home park. That, you know, and part of this exercise is there's a price to have the control over those utilities. And had we had ownership of the utilities in the mobile home park, there wouldn't be the utility issues that were present at that facility.
And I don't want to beat a dead horse. I think I've made my position very clear, but I don't think someone that lives on Old Midway Road, you know, take the empathy out of it, really cares whether the person that owns that mobile home park can continue to make money on their mobile home park. Right? This is taxpayers taking over maintenance of this.
I do have to point out a little error in your logic. The taxpayers do not maintain and pay for this. The water system customers do through the water system fund and the reserve fund.
Okay.
So it's all but it's all water system money. It's no taxpayer from Adolph that doesn't have water.
If that sewer main breaks, who's paying for it?
The water fund comes out of a dedicated fund.
Okay, so everyone that has city water would then be paying
Right.
for it, not the entirety of the tax base.
Correct.
So 75%.
But that is a difference.
Yeah. I've made my position clear. I think we can move on unless any other
I think
councilors have-
we'll have the city attorney research it and get back to all of us on it. There's a reason it's been done over the years, and some of us have accepted that, and it's good that you're able to challenge that. Maybe it's time that it be re-explained and re-examined. It gives us an opportunity to look at it. Any other questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-116? Any public input on the development agreement with Sumas Construction Incorporated for the Reside Apartments?
Wayne, can I clarify one thing for Mr. Suma since he's here?
Sure.
I have no problem moving forward with the project now, right? Build it, but I don't see the part of this. Okay, all right.
Any other public input? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Nay.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next and last is resolution 2025-117. Resolution approving tentative agreement and authorizing and directing mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver agreements with Ask Me Local 66 for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder.
This is the last of the union contracts that need to be resolved for the 25, 26, and 27 years. It's consistent with what we've done with other units with the across the board increase.
Is there any questions or comments from council? I will comment that I was part of the city's negotiating group and support this resolution. Any other comments from council? Is there any public comment on this resolution? Any public comment on resolution 2025-117? Any public comment on the approval of a tentative agreement with Ask Me Local 66? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is a motion to recess. Do we have a motion?
Move to recess.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. All in favor, say aye.